5, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start the session. First of all, as per protocol, please switch on your camera during the workshop session. Now, this is for those of you who are new, this is actually a UOW protocol that we all practice during meetings and during workshops. The camera is to be switched on. Unless, no choice, you are in a doctor's appointment, tak apalah. Other than that, this is how it is supposed to be. Okay, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this very beautiful Friday morning. For today, we are going to talk about OBE. Now, as you would see in today's training or workshop session, there are numerous groups. Number one will be those who are actually doing their acid trip. This is the second session of acid trip. Acid trip, for those of you who may not know, is a requirement by all colleagues, new and also old, to actually go through this 6 sessions of acid trip itself. For many of you, I know the School of Engineering over in Selangor has requested all of their colleagues to join. So many of them will be coming in as they come in because some of them are still having classes, whereas of course it is done at 9 a.m. So some of them may still be rushing in. Anyway, as many of you know, I'm a stickler to time, so that is why we are going to start as what is required. So now, just to start, outcomes-based education. So what we are going to do today, we are going to look at what outcome-based education is. However, we need to understand that if you want to really know, understand, and also to run outcome-based education, it is going not only to take 3 to 4 hours, but it can be a day or even 2 to 3 days to really understand and implement. So what I'm going to do today is basically to touch on what outcome-based education is, why is it important, how does it relate to the MQF. I'm going to touch quite a bit about the MQF, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are not so much in the know, the MQF is the Malaysian Qualifications Framework. It is a document by the ministry that actually governs how institutions of higher learning run. A very, very interesting document. Currently, it is on their second version with a 2024 revision. Last year, there was a revision in the final quarter, something that I would strongly suggest all of you to read. For those of you who just joined, please switch on your cameras, guys. Please switch on your cameras. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, so basic discussion, as what I stressed, will be what is OBE, why is it important, and of course, OBE, a UOW Malaysia take. How do we perceive it? How do we see it? And how do we practice OBE in our environment? Why is this so? Basically, the general theories and concepts of OBE are similar generally. Because it is literature, it is how it is read. Interpretation can be a little bit different. And based on interpretation, it comes down to implementation. Right now, okay? So for example, some of you have been teaching in Taylor's, Sunway, Segi, and so on. So over there, definitely they will also implement or understand OBE. However, the way they apply it can be in principle slightly different from every single institution. Why is this so? Because we are also governed by our parent organization, University of Wollongong. So basically, OBE, we are also governed, and there are certain things that are done based on the understanding and principles of what we do. However, you will then understand that general OBE principles and how all institutions implement it are actually the same. Okay, are actually the same. Okay, so during the session today, I hope to finish the session by 11-ish. Okay, maybe half 11 to 12 latest. Because this is something that it is very important, and it is something that during the sessions itself, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and we will tackle the questions as we go along. As I go along, every few slides, I will pause and I will ask the audience. However, if you would like to put it in the chat, it is also fine. However, please bear with me. I may not answer the chat immediately. So when we start on OBE itself, outcomes-based education, it is important for us to understand or to know about the general theories and the concepts of OBE and how it actually came about. So for those of you who are interested, you can actually read. Is there a question? No. All right. You can actually read about William Spady, Bill Spady himself. He is also widely known as the father of OBE in the 70s and 80s. Over in the States, in secondary primary schools, slowly there was this understanding of what OBE is. I will not go in to give you a brief about the whole book or his literature itself. However, I want to stress on these three key principles that he came about. Okay, number one, all students can learn and succeed. All, but not on the same day in the same way. So what he says is this: every individual can succeed, but in different times, in different ways, and in different means. Some students may need more time to achieve their goal. Some students, you tell them once, automatically they understand. Some students, you tell them 3 times, then they understand. So what he means is this: success doesn't need to be one dimension. One dimension means satu jalan, one way. Certain individuals, you need to approach it from different angles. For those of you who were in my last week's welcome in the acid trip, I told you, all right, if the only way students will understand your theories and your concept is for you to sing, then you sing lah. That is OBE, outcomes based. Because apa yang penting, sorry, during my session, sometimes I put in some BM words. So for those of you, I believe all of you are Malaysians, you have no much of a problem. But yang tak faham, raise your hand. All right. So what is important is not what you do, but what the students need to achieve. Outcome based. Outcome based. So that is why, as many of you know, I was from the hospitality school. All right. So we in the hospitality school, during the orientation, during the start of the semester, students will come in. I give an example over in the kitchen. All right. So we will then explain to student. Student, this is the pot. This is a what kind of knife? This is a paring knife. This is a general knife. This is the butcher knife. This is the carving knife. Then we also explain things such as like, this is an onion. This is a shallot. This is garlic. Then we need to describe garlic. Oh, guys, if I'm going to ask you now, Sheila, my friend, how are you? Hey, unmute lah, Sheila.
Sorry, I'm
How are you?
okay.
Morning.
Good
If I'm to
morning.
ask you a simple question, I know you know garlic. Can you describe
Yes.
garlic?
Garlic is small, white in color, and also it's used for cooking. Most Malaysians use it.
Many of us love garlic, but what about the essence? What about the smell of garlic?
It's more
The
of a
character.
pungent smell. Pungent smell.
Pungent. Okay, guys, all of you here sitting, what Sheila said, congratulations, correct. But what does pungent smell mean? What does small and so what does small and white mean? My small can be as big as this.
Yeah.
Jalani small can be like like my thumb. Exactly. I can see Dr. Joshua over there putting his definition. Very good. Now, this explanation that we go is called one dimension when we teach the student. But you look at it, how many of us will really understand, will really see what can visualize what garlic is? So what is a better way? Outcomes based. I bring garlic, the physical garlic itself. I take the garlic, I tell the students, this is garlic. I want you to now take off the skin, crush it in your hand, smell it, taste it. Outcome is the same, correct or not? The outcome is the explanation of what garlic is. But in one dimension, we explain to them verbally, this is what it is, and using description. Because we do that, you need to understand many of our students may not have the depth or understanding of the way it is described. due to maybe understanding of the language. So what we do is now we bring the actual product. We crush the product. We let them smell, we let them taste. And in 15 seconds, automatically they can now know clearly what garlic is. This is what William Spady defined in his first general concept there. Not on the same day, not in the same way. Some students will understand as per explained by Joshua, the explanation, because their depth of knowledge and their comprehension of the language is of a higher level. But many students don't. So we use different ways. We use different styles. Okay? So this is what it is. Number two, success breeds success. When you do well, you want to do well. You want to continue to do well. That is why positive reinforcement in OBE is very important. Positive reinforcement is where you tell the candidate, I use the word student or candidate, two things. One, corrective. Student, this is not correct. You should do it this way. Positive reinforcement is students, well done, good, congratulations, you did it well. Students bangga, happy, wah, cikgu pat my back. I want to do well. I want to shine. Success breeds success. Number three, school control the conditions of success. We play a key role in the success of the student. How we approach the student itself, how we relate to the students, how we motivate the students will deem or have a direct impact to the students' success process. Okay? How we motivate them. What words do we use? Do we have the environment that is driving success? Yes. Okay. So when we talk about school, we are not only looking at the lecturer or the facilitator. For many of you who understand, I like to use the word facilitation. We facilitate, we assist the student in their success, but the physical environment. All right. The physical environment also plays a big role. Just picture this. You are having your classes in an environment that's hot, humid, and stuffy. Hot, humid, and stuffy. Aircon don't work. There is no ventilation. It smells. The whole environment for learning is not there. It will have an impact to the students' learning. Of course, there are stories who always say, this student has succeeded even without this and that. Yes, but that is the minority. But generally, the environment of the school, the individual, the physical environment, the processes also is very important in the success of the student. What are processes? Processes can also mean such as like our supporting school services. Student come to school, pay fees. Coming to your class, your class is at 10 o'clock. Come 9:30, go to A and B, pay fees. A and B people, one of the staff, one of the colleagues, bad day, raise the voice to the student. Okay? Students' day is spoiled already. Okay? After paying fees, not happy. Come to your class, what is the mental state of mind? Positive or not? Your class 10, but positive or not? Do you think the student is still positive, happy to learn? Yes or no? No, kan? Exactly. All of this has an impact on the way that the students deem or achieve their success. So what William Spady actually emphasized, these three key takeaways from what William Spady said is this. All right, students will succeed, however, in different time and different pace individually, which for many of you, in Malaysia itself, there used to be programs under the HRDF, all right, where it's very competency-based. MLVK. Have you heard of this thing called MLVK? MLVK. I think some of you are quite young. You may not have heard. Either that is latihan vocational or vocational study. So basically, under vocational study, last time I still remember engineering did computing hotel school. The students come, normally 1 credit or no credit. We are giving them a skill. All right, giving them a skill. So when we give them the skill, the certificate is similar to our tahap 1, 2, dan 3. For those of you who know, tahap 1, 2, dan 3 is called certificate lah. Betul lah? Certificate. So basically, how are they assessed? They are assessed on competency. Terampil ke tak terampil? Competency. Very similar over here. So under the government's policy, government's structure, they have these MLBK programs where students will join to be kitchen apprentice. Kitchen apprentice. So under the being a kitchen apprentice, you know, a kitchen apprentice means work in the kitchen but not chef, very low starting. So they need to do a lot of fundamental elements. Cut vegetables, fry egg, and so on. So I still remember this. When we assess the student, it is called competency. So under the structure, it says that student must be able to fry this egg at a certain level in a certain period of time. There are conditions. So student will do. Let's say first student, Jailani, very good. He fried, pass. Then he is trampil. Trampil is the BM word for competent. Trampil lah. He can meet the requirement. Let's say another student go and take Dr. Wong, he's the next student. Then suddenly he goes in, he couldn't do it. Lama, you no fail yet. That means you belum trampil, belum. Haven't, you're not competent yet. So you need more training. You need more training. You need more guidance. You see? Then as you practice more, eventually you will achieve. So it's the outcomes based. What is the thing we are looking at? Able to fry egg where the yolk don't break, and then the conditions are as what it is, not everything bakar in less than 1.5 minutes. Okay, so that is the condition. So that is outcomes based. You get this, guys? What is the outcome? It is not what we teach the student how to fry egg. It is whether they can do it or not. Outcome is whether they can do it or not, whether they can prove it to you that they could do it or they have done it with evidence. Very important. Evidence. Bukti. Evidence is a very critical element here. Understand this, guys? Okay. So any questions so far? So this is the understanding. The understanding. Okay. Now, next slide. Ding. So what is OBE? Outcomes-based education. Outcomes-based, not process-based. You can teach 10 hours for one lesson, but student masuk otak kosong. Still kosong. Okay? Still kosong. You can teach that same theory 15 minutes and student understand you in that 15 minutes. Achievement 100%. Okay? It's outcomes-based. Now, it's not what we want to teach. It's what the students should learn. This is something that I want you all to take. It is not what we want to teach. Many of us, we need to understand and clearly understand that. It is what is required by the students to learn. So if I'm to ask a question to you now, if you are teaching a particular course, what document tells you what the students should learn? Let's say Wahida, you are teaching a course. Okay? Wahida, which faculty? Dari mana ni? Faculty mana? One know Wahida? Oh, you're muted. There is this thing that you can unmute yourself to speak. Boleh? Or maybe you can sign language, outcomes based. Asalkan we understand which faculty is fine. You sign language? Engineering is like that. Hotel is like that. Oh, she's writing it down. All right. She's trying to get it. No worries. I will just continue. Let's say, okay, as what I was saying, it is the interior design also. All right. Okay. All right. That's good. Now, so what we are trying to say here is it is not so much on it is not so much about what we want to teach, but what the students should learn. So if I'm to ask you all the questions, Wahida, you are teaching interior design, you're a part-timer, let's say you are new to UOW, how do you know apa yang perlu diajar? What document? What document will be there that is available to tell you what are you supposed to ensure the student can achieve? What? Textbook? Is it a textbook? What do you think, guys? Textbook ah? Bukan lah, bukan textbook kan. The document, the textbook is a resource to help you to achieve that. Betul? But what is that document ah?
Course outline.
Very good, Sheila. Course outline, betul. We have a course outline. So this course outline, for those of you who also do MQA document, sometimes it's extracted from table 4 lah. When I use the word table 4, some of you terus gatal already because I know you hate it. Okay, so it's called course outline. So the course outline will be very clear to tell you what is the name of the course, how many credit, how many, and we have this thing called CLO. Betul? CLO stands for Course Learning Outcome. Some of you may want to ask, Gabe, how come in Malaysia we use course and not the word subject? Itu cerita lain lah. But when we were young, we always talk about subject. Tapi MQA pakai the term course. Buat kita pening saja. Okay, so it's called course. Okay, now that is called the Course Learning Outcome, CLO. So what students should learn is very much based on the outline. The CLO dictates what the student must know at the minimum level. Please take note, at the minimum level. At the minimum level, student must understand whatever is in the course outline. Okay? All right? You must teach that. You must teach. During the process of teaching, that is your key. You want to enhance lebih, please go ahead. But nothing less. Please take note, nothing less. Tak boleh discount. No discount. Can tambah a little bit. Some of you may ask, Gabe, why tambah? Why tambah? Why? You may approach a class, your class may be very, very advanced in the way that they're thinking. And your approach that you have taught in the course outline, you have met everything. But because they're so advanced, they need challenge. So you may put in a little bit more. I'm not saying a lot more until it is the next level, but put in some to challenge them. Because students like to be challenged. Students want to know that they can do more. Okay? Now, so the course outline, I always put it as the median there. This is the thing you all must achieve. Your pass rate, your 50%. Anything more than that, it is a bonus. So your course outline is known. I want to use this term called must know. Must know. Perlu ditahu. All students must know the course outline depth and what is required inside there. Understand, huh? Anything extra is good to know. Good to know. Bukan must know. It's good to know. Understand, huh? To challenge them a little bit more. The must know is the course outline. Now, is the course outline fixed in stone? That means tak payah tukar forever and ever. Or boleh tukar punya? Dr. Muhammad Naim? Don't mind? Can change or cannot change? I unmute. It can change. Betul, can change. You're supposed to do program review, course review, tiap-tiap tahun, every year. You must do, right? If the industry doesn't need a change, I will go into that later, then you don't change. But if there's a need, you change. Very good. So this is what it is. OBE, not what we want to teach, but what the students should learn. So you all know what the students should learn from the course outline. Let's look at the course outline. Macam tu lah. Next. OBE, outcomes-based education versus traditional education. Content-based learning system, dulu, like during my time, old school, I did my SPM in 1992. SPM 1992. During that time, it is very passive student. We go to class, we are taught. We are taught, That means when we are taught means the process of us as a sponge, we absorb. Teacher teach, passive, dengar. Betul, betul. Now, outcomes-based requires a more active learning process. Because students, remember the first thing about William Spady, what he said? Every student can achieve, but at different pace, at a different time, and a different style, kan? So it needs to be active. Some students, you cakap satu kali, dia faham. Some students, you cakap 10 kali, need to draw, need to sing. Okay? Contents-based, assessment process, exam, and grade-driven. Whereas outcomes-based, it is very continuous assessment. That is why you will see in most of your courses today, it is not one final exam. It is continuous. All right? Because it is progressive. It is called progressive development. All right? There are a lot of merits to continuous assessment. But there are also a lot of drawbacks. What are the drawbacks? It requires a lot of energy and manpower. Exams are easy to set, difficult to mark. Right or not? You set exam paper satu kali only mah. Well, mark sometimes you can cry. All right? Okay. When we talk about it may not be the best. So continuous assessment has its merits. All right. So as you go down the list here, I won't run through everything inside there. You will see that there is a shift in thought for outcomes-based learning system. Now, why do you think this shift is needed? The reason is not because education wants to shift, What is our role as educators? Our role as educators is to ensure that the student who leave our institution can find job. Betul? They don't come and do a degree or a master's and a PhD for fun, then keep it at home. No, they want make sure they can find job and make sure these people are good people. All right? They are ethical, good people. So when you talk about finding job, do we control the job market? No. The job market dictates what is needed in the student. Correct, right? The job market dictates what is needed in the student. So the job market has came back and say that we need students not only as good to regurgitate, but they need to be thinkers. They need to be students who can think, can question, can ask, critical thinkers. That is why we shift. The process also shift. All right, guys, understand? All right, so that is the difference. So paradigm shift in education and training philosophy from a teacher-centered learning, TCL, to a student-centered learning. All right, student-centered. Last time, teacher go in, teacher teach, mengajar, stand there and teach. Now it is student-centered. What the student should know, teacher use strategy to ensure students understand. So the teacher now, or as you can see what I wrote inside there, teachers to facilitators. The facilitator go in is to strategize. Today, student must learn this. Today, student must understand the uniqueness of garlic. So I garu kepala. How do I explain it? The best way, I bring garlic, crush it in their hand, let them smell. You see? So we as facilitators, we have in our mind the goal, the outcome. And then we come up with the strategy to ensure they achieve that outcome. So the strategy is not fixed. It can be a lecture, it can be a workshop, it can be a trip to the industry, it can be something very physical, crushing of garlic. It can be as simple as also bringing them into the lab. Why do I see all new engineering students in the first week? My office is next to the engineering faculty. So when I walk to the toilet, I see engineering colleagues briefing the students. This is your equipment. This is how you use and this and that, Be careful, You need to wear your safety. You need to do this and that. They can do it in class. They can explain it, but it will not be effective because the outcome, what is the outcome we want? Students don't make mistake because it's dangerous. So what is the best way? We show them, we bring them to the lab. So it is the outcome. The outcome is to ensure students don't make mistake, cut themselves or kill themselves in the engineering lab. That is the outcome. Safety first. So what is the best way? Like that lah. Number two, let me give you another example. How many of you have already done? I know in the past few days, corporate communication has sent from UOW Australia this video about IT safety. IT, you all did or not? If those of you who haven't done, must do. All right. How? Okay. What way did they do to educate you? Was it just a paragraph of words? Was it just words or what? What did they use?
Video.
Video, very good. Now, why not words? Why video? Why? What is the outcome? Using video and assessment. Betul. But why video? Video mahal kan? For those show action and consequence, very good. Video is expensive. I can write 2 paragraphs and tell my staff very cheap. Now with ChatGPT, even cheaper. Video, the production cost for video, for those of you who are in media, you know, is crazy. And the production cost for the one that they did is not just use camera, not just use phone, kan? They're not bad. High end a bit. It's expensive. But the impact is different. Impact is different. So, no point doing a paragraph. At the end of the day, tak ada orang faham. It's the video is the one that is important. That is called student-centered learning. Why? Because they have found out people like us, our concentration span very low. How many of us will read 3 paragraphs? Nobody, none of us will do. Betul lah. Let's be honest lah, guys. We also a bit lazy lah. And if the video is longer than 5 minutes, how many of you will watch? That's why the video is only 90 seconds. Betul kan? Lebih kurang lah 90 seconds. 1.5 minute, 2 minute. If it is 5 minutes, sorry lah, saya pun fast forward. We are in a stage, in an environment that many of us go to YouTube and run 1.5 speed. 1.5 speed means the video is going 1.5 speed, you know. Because we have no patience. And this is called learners. We are the learners. All right. So when you look at this paradigm shift, and you see my screen over here, the example I just gave you is this. We change because learners change. Learners change. We. Okay. I still remember during my time in the mid-90s. I know some of you are even more senior than my side. When I was in university studies, when we do research, we go to the library, take book, read. Sometimes you read 3-4 hours. Don't have the EC that you want. Wasted time. You put one side. Then you find another book. Today, search immediately. You ask a student to read 3 to 4 hours. Tak boleh. Different. Student-centered learning is based on the student you have. OBE, outcomes based. Now I'm going to go back a little bit. It's very much, we need to ensure that our students achieve their goal. But students have evolved. Students have evolved, change, fluctuate. So we also need to move with the student. Okay, exactly. So I see a comment over there. Let me just tackle that comment. Learning without patience, quite challenging, teaching. Exactly. Siapa ni? Dr. Loh. You are correct. It is not easy. It is not easy. It is for us sometimes strategizing the way we approach, and we need to move. And for those of you who teach many different classes, when you go into class A, you need to wear the cap. This cap is different cap. You go to class B, you wear different cap because the students are different. The students are different. I was telling this thing in my previous trainings. I'm one of the oldest staff in KDU. Okay, I mean, I'll be very honest with you. This is my 25th year. 25 tahun, yes. So some of them will say, we got chair, we got table, we got Gabriel. I'm part of the furniture. Another thing, why do we not go? Either we are so good or we are so hopeless that nobody wants us. Okay, anyway, I always tell my colleagues, for those of you who know, I think Ting Ting will know, because Ting Ting is also like a furniture like me. Last time, student got fight. Student got fight. Remember Ting Ting, last time student got fight, right? Engineering students especially got fight. Gaduh, you know. Fight, tumbuk. throw chair, throw table. But in the past 5 to 6 years, have you noticed there are no more fights? No cases. Why?
They fight in social media.
Exactly. Very good. Last time, student face-to-face can approach. I don't like something Wahida said. I see her, I talk to her face-to-face. Sometimes sampai tumbuk. Tak lah tumbuk. But today, no more. They are what you call keyboard warriors. Good for management. Why? There's no case. But you just think, ladies and gentlemen, just think about this. The whole dynamics of the students have evolved. Many of them have lost the ability to communicate face-to-face because they don't. And it is very sad. For me, not having fights in Selangor campus for the past 5 to 6 years is not something that I'm shouting, happy. I'm quite worried because what has happened? Everybody is in their own silo, student silo. They have lost the ability to approach, to communicate. That is students of today. And for us as facilitators, we need to make sure we adapt to that. Okay? So, next. I already say, what is our role? Make sure students can find job. Betul? We teach, make sure she can find job and they're good people. So, there's a little bit of a research done. Under the Prospect magazine, key skills employers were looking for. This was published 2 years ago, 18 months ago. So please, I apologize for it not being that updated. But under MQA regulation, 3 tahun, so I'm still there, no problem. What are the key things that an employer looks for? Communication, resilience. Resilient means if the environment changes, you can adapt accordingly. That means any changing, there is a chance we take the manis dan the masam and the pahit. No problem. We are resilient. Commercial awareness, leadership and management, planning and research, and goes on. Under the New Zealand government side in 2023 also, positive attitude, communication, teamwork, self-management, willing to learn, thinking skills. Look at the New Zealand government side. What do you call it? The results. Thinking skills is number 6. What is in front? Positive attitude, communication, teamwork, and so on. So what we are seeing here is this. Our employers are telling us, hey guys, you are training your student very well. I'm not worried. Engineering students who get a degree in engineering, you are governed by engineering board. Tak ada hal. Sure one, right? Not engineering by government board, so your standards are there. But what we need are students that has a positive attitude, that can communicate, that can work with people. Work with people. Work with people means maybe in a physical environment, not only in an online environment, but in a physical environment. So if students don't learn how to fight when in college, when they go to the company, habis. So this is what I'm trying to stress over here is this. What we do very much is dictated by what the industry wants. So outcomes-based is driven. We want the students to reach an outcome, but we also need to see what the outcome is. And the outcome today is very much that. So in our role as facilitators, as cikgu, as lecturers, not only do we need to teach the students about knowledge. Let's say Jailani teaches mathematics. Not only does the student know about mathematics, but they also need to know about resilience. They also need to know about sometimes if they make a mistake, how do they get themselves back up again? Okay? They also need to know how to communicate effectively. They also need to know how to work in a team, teamwork. That is what we need to understand. Not only on the knowledge part, but on the more holistic approach of building that particular individual. Not only knowledgeable, but having a comprehensive level of skills to make them competent individuals that the industry wants. Industry do not only want 4.0. 4.0 is good, but they want people that can work with people. 4.0 and cannot work with people, no point. All right, no point. ACCA. As you all know, I'm the principal of the college, and one of my schools is ACCA. Okay, now let me tell you this. Previously, we get feedback from the industry. Previously, a lot of people who want to join accounting is why become auditor. I don't like to meet people. I don't like to meet people. I just like to work on my own. All right. I don't like to work with people. Today, cannot. Even though you are in accounting firm or you are in auditing firm, you need to meet client. Client means you know lah, outside. So no choice. You need to know how to communicate. You need to know how to be able to speak to people already. So even now, those who want to be accountant, want to be auditors, one skill that you need to know is number 2, communication skill. Last time, I remember I still remember, they say those who are quiet, don't like to mix with people, you become accountant lah. You just work behind the table. No more. Now the company want you to go and see client. Ayo, mampus. How to see client? Okay? Changing environment. The industry have changed. Okay? So, different countries, different skill. Top five most important skill for employers globally. This is QS Global Survey. This was also quite a few years. Problem solving, teamwork, communication, adaptability, interpersonal skill, and so on. So, what is the evolution of the employee? The employee has changed. All right. Past, we work 9 to 5. Future, work anytime. Even now, there are many, many, many companies that are approaching it that way. We in education may be a little bit different. There is still that physical approach. But I know of many of my colleagues and friends who work different time zones. Okay, some of them, let's say they are working with a European company, so their approach, their timing, so their meeting malamnya, right? So if you're working with an American company, it's different. So it is the whole environment is changing, and then the corporate office, the physical office, is also evolving to a more work anywhere kind of environment. Okay, so this is what we see. The whole aspect of the employee is changing from the evolution here from traditional to what is going to happen in the future. So the skill that's what's going to happen in the future is where we come in. We need to make sure the students are ready with the skills to work anywhere. Example, to share information. So it's our role because OBE, outcomes based, when a student take degree, make sure that they come out, they can find job lah. So if the job requires them to do this, then we have to make sure we ready the student lah to do that. That is where the fun comes in. Ladies and gentlemen, take a 10-minute break. All right, go and run, get yourself a drink, go to the toilet or whatever. We will start back at now it's 9:48. Make it 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock we will continue. All right? Okay? Okay. 10 o'clock. Okay, welcome back. I'm going to continue. Okay, so it's 10 a.m. sharp. So as what we just saw, that is the evolution of the employee. All right. Evolution of the employee very much is determined by the demands of the industry itself, by the employer, and that is what is actually happening. Okay, so all of that creates a little bit of a frame that we now understand what is needed by the student, what is the role that we play, and how we need to play the role to ensure that the students achieve their needed goals itself. So when we talk about OBE philosophies, it's very much focused on outcomes. So when we talk about focusing on outcomes, now we are going to the nitty-gritty part. We see the theories, we see the understanding, and now the nitty-gritty part. When we talk about outcomes, there is of course things such as like the curriculum design, how you design the curriculum. The curriculum is actually the map of what the students is supposed to achieve. That is what the curriculum is. Okay, and that will also determine the teaching and learning. Teaching and learning is the process of for them to achieve. It can be through lectures, it can be through workshops, it can be through discussions, and so on. So the word teaching and learning here is the mechanism used to ensure the curriculum is achieved. Get it? So teaching and learning is the mechanism. My teaching and learning, if I'm teaching mathematics, and Jailani's teaching and learning, if he is teaching mathematics also, may be different because of the level of mathematics we are teaching, or if the audience is different. Different audience, different method of teaching and learning. Most fundamental part or method that we always use is called lectures. We do a lecture. A lecture is a method of teaching and learning where a person stands and actually explains of the particular concepts and so on. Seminars are also teaching and learning processes. Workshops, discussions. Industrial visit is also teaching and learning. What is the goal? You want the goal of the student to understand how a particular item is fabricated. So we bring them to the factory. That is the goal, is how a particular item is fabricated. We bring them to the factory so that they can see. That is the goal. The outcome is that. The outcome is that. So the process is we bring them to the factory to see. Then it covers up everything. Your curriculum design and your teaching and learning, we want to know whether we achieve or not. And that is called assessment. Assessment is the tool that we use to ensure our curriculum is achieved. When we talk about achievement of curriculum, means achievement of the course learning outcome. So that is what is called an assessment. We don't do assessment for fun. Assessments, plural, are used to ensure that whatever teaching and learning we do is effective and the students achieve their learning outcome. That is what assessments are. So when we talk about OBE, we need to focus on these three parts because all of these three will be interlinked. All of these will be interlinked and they will work with each other. They will have a relation with each other when OBE is discussed. So relevance, under the rating accreditation requirements, quality assurance audit by the Ministry of Education, MQF, the emphasis on learning outcomes. When we look at the Malaysian qualifications framework, as I told you when we started, the MQF, guys, take note, you can search online, MQF version 2.0 is a document that dictates what higher learning is, how is it defined, and how is it achieved. It is a very good document. All right. It is the framework. So in that framework itself for Malaysia, there is a large emphasis on learning outcomes. Everything is on learning outcomes, learning outcomes. It is not so much on how many hours you put, but what the students can do after that. Okay. And number two, accreditation requirement for professional programs by professional bodies emphasize learning outcomes. Engineering board. I think if you're looking at professional bodies, one of the most stringent bodies Okay, so it is the engineering board. So the engineering board itself also emphasizes very much on the learning outcome, what the students can do. So when you talk about the Malaysian qualifications framework, the framework is that they understand that it is very important for them to also abide and also follow suit on what the professional bodies require. There are now many professional bodies. We got interior design, we got engineering, we got nursing, and so on. And these are bodies that have a very large influence on the way of the outcome of the student itself. Okay? So, real benefits of OBE. So, we understand what OBE is. Anticipation of real benefits, more directed and coherent curriculum. So, now, this is the one that is critical. If we are practitioners of outcomes-based education, then there is what will happen is the curriculum will be more directed and coherent. Coherent meaning that it streamlines, it becomes more targeted in that way. The reason is because all of us understand it is not what we want to teach, but what students must learn. Graduates will be more relevant to industry and other stakeholders. Now, as I said, what is our role? We are here to train students, individuals, so that they go out, they can find job. They can find job lah. So when we talk about outcomes based, if the industry already tells us these are the things that they need, then if we are practitioners of OBE and the students can demonstrate their competency, then the graduates, they come out, they will be relevant. They're relevant to the industry hire them, and the industry will think, wow, we must hire UOW Malaysia graduates because they can do, because they can. You see? So this is why we do OBE. Okay? And continuous quality improvement, CQI, is an inevitable consequence. When you look at OBE, CQI is something that needs to be continuously done. Continuous quality improvement. The most basic CQI that all of your school and faculty do will be on the program review. Program review is CQI lah. Every semester, every year especially, you run through the program with the experts. You talk, hey, do we need to change anything? These are called CQI. Must it be every year? No, it can be every semester. But of course, every semester it can be more informal, whereas every year it is a formal process of program or what you call curriculum review. Okay. Now, why do you think you have your industrial board? You know, you got industry advisor, kan? Industry advisory board. Why? For what? For fun? No, definitely not. We want to hear from them. We want to hear because they are the one that tells us what the industry wants. They are the one that tells us what is important. Okay. So, therefore, OBE is an educational process directed focus at achieving certain specific outcomes in terms of individual students' learning. So when we talk about OBE, it is we are looking at achieving those outcomes. Okay, both structures and curricula are designed to achieve those capabilities or qualities. We have the curriculum. A good curriculum is will ensure the outcome is achieved. A good curriculum. Okay, that is why curriculum review is so important. Curriculum will have an impact on teaching and learning and also assessment. Okay, assessment. Assessment can evolve. And education structures and curriculum are engaged, are regarded as means, not ends. If they do not do the job, they are retaught. So what they say is very true. You go through a process, CQI. If the curriculum need to change, we change. We change. We change. I always tell this, but when I was doing my undergraduate studies in 95, 96, um, I am a hospitality student, and one of my subject is sequential query language, SQL. Now, some of you in computing, you may think, hospitality must learn SQL. Yes, crazy one. I also don't know why. Okay, but we did SQL. You all know, right? SQL heard before, right? Okay. So maybe during that time, it was a requirement. But as it evolves till today, I don't see many hospitality degrees have SQL anymore already. All right. Why? Irrelevant. But in computing school, of course they have. But other than that, it's no more relevant. This is called CQI, continuous quality improvement. What is not needed, we take away. What is important, we put in. Why? No point teaching something to student at the end of the day. No point. Okay? No point. At the end of the day, students won't need it as by the employer. Okay? So OBE is a process that involves the restructuring of curriculum. So when we talk about OBE, there is a requirement to restructure curriculum, assessment and reporting practices in education to reflect the achievement of higher order learning and mastery rather than accumulation of course credits. So when we talk about OBE, it is not only about getting credits and passing the student, it is about achievement, outcomes. It is finding evidence of the student that they have achieved that. Amongst expected changes. So when we practice OBE, now you all know VUOW, all institutions in Malaysia, we are OBE practitioners. Then there are certain things that we must accept. Number one, curriculum restructuring and revision. It will happen. It is not fixed for life. Two, innovative, flexible delivery methods. You need to be innovative. You need to be flexible. You need to able to adapt to the particular target audience or the group of students itself. Varied of assessment and evaluation methods. You guys are doing it already. Even most of your courses, you have sit-down exam, you have presentation, you have report, you have assessment on group work. So this is called varied assessment. Very little or barely are there any courses that is only one assessment, only exam. Now it is varied. All right, because students show different skills. There are still, if you're looking at finance paper or maybe accounting paper courses, it could be very highly tweaked to maybe 80% or 100% just an exam, because that is what is required. But generally, it is not. It varies. Okay, and number 4, collection of evidences. In outcomes based, we need to have the evidence to say that the student have achieved that particular roadblock, milestone. Okay, this is called getting evidence. Bukti. Always remember bukti, evidence. All right, evidence is very important. Students cannot tell you, sir, I know how to fry egg. No, students you can only take it if they can show evidence. They have demonstrated it to you. Okay, so this is called evidence based. And CQI, continuous quality improvement. You must close the loop. Closing the loop means this: you start, you implement. As you implement, you reach the end. If there's improvement, we improve. It's called closing the loop. You cannot just start, then after go halfway, not effective, stop there. Oh, cannot. You must, if it's not effective, what do? We change and then we start back again. If it is effective, we continue and we go back again. So you must close the loop. Always closing the loop. Don't let the loop stay open. Okay. Now, the problem with OBE is this. It looks nice, but it requires work. It requires work. Okay. One example. You are assessing leadership skill in your class. It's not easy. How do you evaluate leadership skill? There's a lot of observation that needs to be done. If you have 10 students, not so bad. 5 students is a blessing. You have 55 students and you want to evaluate leadership skill. Can it be done? Yes. But you need to be very hands-on. You need to be in the environment for us to do, for you to observe that. Seriously. Now, some of you may say, Gabe, is it even possible? And I tell you, yes. But depending on the environment. In hospitality, you can, because students run the restaurant and the kitchen. So when the student run the restaurant, they are every week they run the restaurants, different groups. You can see, and if I'm the lecturer inside there, I observe all 6 students inside there running the restaurant. There is a manager, there is a waiter, so on, so on, and so on. Leadership skill doesn't mean it comes from the manager. No, it can be from alone. It can be the waiter. But during the process of running the restaurant, when certain circumstances arrive and they take the initiative to overcome those challenges, that is the demonstration of leadership skill. Hospitality can lah. Business school, not easy. Okay, not easy. Seriously, not easy. Communication school can. Because you're contact with them, you can see. So you need to be innovative. The goal is that leadership skill. How do we find leadership skill? How do we identify? How do we evaluate if you're in business school? I won't go much into detail. Later, next week or the following week, my colleague is going to talk about assessment methods and so on. He will then touch on a little bit on this. Okay? So when we talk about so now we understand the OBE and the benefits of it. So the OBE process goes through these 4 stages. Okay, planning, developing, implementing, and evaluating. First, planning. So when you do the planning stage, mana ni? Oh, sorry, too fast. When you do the planning stage, it's at academic level. You start off with the PEO, program educational objectives. I will go into more detail later because I find this is critical. So, okay, PEO, high level. Okay, so this is where you determine what is required. Let's say you guys are you guys in your own faculty, your head of school, or you being the head of school, you need to develop programs to grow your school. Before you develop program, you don't just say, let's develop a Bachelor of Business. No, you need to look into, you need to do research, you need to speak with the industry partners on what is required. So your product is determined by what the industry wants. So if the industry says that we are now heading towards, let's say, if you're talking about engineering, it is chip fabrication, computer chip fabrication. And over in Penang, it is the hub in Malaysia for chip fabrication. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this is what we want to prepare our students for. Then you need to evaluate relevant or not. This chip fabrication, is it only in Malaysia for the next 2 years, 3 years? Because if we are going to be hot for the next 2 to 3 years, after that, our competitors will take over in the Asian region, Vietnam and so on, then don't start a new program. Why? For you to start a new program this year, you need to send for approval. The approval will take 1 year. You only can run the program in 2026. And when you run the program in 2026, the first batch that come in January 2026, the students will graduate in 2030. So they will start finding job in 2030. During that time, the skill not required. Burn. All right. So you need to do planning. So at that level, this is where the PEO comes in, Program Educational Objective. Here is where you determine what is required in the industry. That is why a lot of the more traditional programs are always surviving. Business is very traditional. All right. Business thrives, computing up and down, but generally based on what we are looking at, with AI, crypto, and so on, there's a requirement for this. Okay. So the traditional will stay. Certain ones will dwindle. Certain ones will see growth. All right. So that's the first one, PEOs. Then after you have your PEOs already, program educational objectives is the one that will actually determine what is required by the students and 3 to 5 years after that. Then only you come up with the program learning outcome. The program learning outcome is derived from the PEOs. Okay? So hold on. Ini. Okay. Okay. Now, and after that, once you already determine the PEO, let's say our PEO is in the next 10 to 15 years, Malaysia will definitely strive in chip fabrication. Then we were coming out with a Bachelor of Engineering in Chip Fabrication. I know there's no such thing. I just create only. Then we look at any program standard or not. If there's a program standard, we equal program standard. If there is no program standard, we have to determine what is needed in that program. How do we do that? Industry will help us. Then we come up with the PLO. After you come up with your PLO, then you look at your curriculum. Your PLO is a general frame, program learning outcome. Then you look at your curriculum. So next thing is what is required for the student to achieve what are the skills needed for the student in Bachelor of Engineering in Fabrication? What is required? So That is where we put in mathematics perlu, statistics perlu, physics they need, chemistry they need. I'm just shouting, and then English they need, this and that lah. So these are the things that they need. How much do they need? That one different. So that is where the curriculum is being designed. So you design the curriculum. Let's take mathematics itself. So we take mathematics. Student must learn this, that. There are 12 things that they must learn. So after you put everything already, this is the depth. You calculate. Suddenly you find that, oh my God, this course is 7 credit, because it is 7 times 4 is 280 notional hours. So it's 7 credit. 7 credit is too big. So what do? We divide it into 2 lah. Mathematic 1, mathematic 2. Understand? That's how it is. So it is your CLO. So in mathematic 1, this is what we do. In mathematic 2, is what we do. So what are we driven? We are driven by the need of the depth of the course for the program. We are not driven by historical data. Historical data is like this. When I did my degree, I did marketing 1, 2, and 3. So now when I come up with a program, and inside got marketing, I also put marketing 1, 2, and 3. So automatically, I put based on my historical, based on how I got my degree, I already write marketing 1, marketing 2, marketing 3, all of them 3 credit, 3 credit, 3 credit. So 9 credit over there. Why? Because when I did my degree, I got marketing 1, 2, and 3. But when I did my degree was 25 years ago. Today different. Maybe no need already. Right or not? So maybe no need. After you evaluate the curriculum, you may say that students need marketing, but a lot of these things sudah tak perlu. Then you calculate, it's only 1 paper for marketing. 1 paper only. See? You get it, ladies and gentlemen? You are driven, but not by what you did before, but by what is needed for the program. That is why, as you can see, please follow my cursor here. Curriculum, when you come up, let's say marketing, you come up with the course learning outcome. You determine the course learning outcome. What is required marketing for this particular program. And then all your teaching and learning activities, your assessment, then you come up with the student learning time. SLT is student learning time. And the student learning time will impact credit hours. The rule is very simple. 40 SLT hours persamaan 1 credit hour. 40 student learning time equivalent to 1 credit hour. For those of you old school, you remember Lembaga Akreditasi Negara LAN, during that time is 14 contact hours equal 1 credit hour. That is why last time when you all run 3 credit subject, 3 kali 14. 42 credit, 42 contact hours of lecture. That is why lah. You understand, right? But not recently, in the 15 years ago, they changed it to SLT, which is good. SLT is good. So the student learning time is the time required by the student to achieve that credit. So I want you to now take a pause, visualize this. Certificate student, 3 credit, 120 notional hours. MBA student got 3 credit subject also, 120 credit hours. 120 student learning time hours. MBA. So MBA Masters tahap 7, certificate tahap 3. The contact hours for the certificate student can be 42 hours or maybe 50 hours. Low level, I need more contact. Like now, I do more contact. I need to teach. Master's level, the contact hours, maybe 20 hours only, or maybe 25 hours. Same credit, same credit. Maybe 25 to 30 hours less. Then you ask why? Master student, they are supposed to be more matured. They are supposed to be able to learn on their own. Supposed to lah, but you know some of our master student pun garu kepala, right? Not? All right. So supposed to be. So it is not determined. Credit doesn't determine contact hours. However, see, there's always a caveat one. See, however, best practice do come in. All right, best practice do come in. So generally, you don't do, this is a SLT, this is a 3 credit, we just do 10 hours lah. Why? because it may really be not enough. The contact hours may not be enough to really develop the students. Students still need guidance, right or not? Okay, that is what SLT is. Understand this, guys? Now, some of you may ask, Gabe, but then MQA come and say tak ada cukup jam, tak ada cukup hours. Why? Because justification is not there. If the MBA class 3 credit marketing and you only have 24 hours of physical lecture, and somebody asks you, why 24 hours? You must have evidence or proof to say that your process of facilitation, students can achieve their goal. You faham tak? Okay, so you may say, every Saturday they come in, I give them reading on Monday. And Wednesday, they must give me their reflective essay on the reading. And on Thursday, online, we have 1 hour workshop. And on every Saturday, we have 3-hour physical. Okay? So, and we finish it, the whole course in 6 weeks. Masters can, sometimes masters, they do block 6 weeks. So 6, 6 kali 4, contact hours, 24. But the student can achieve their goal. Okay? Why? Master's level. Matang, matured students can. But for certificate students, tahap 3, and you give that explanation, the MQA officer will say, you jangan tipu lah. Why? Certificate students, lower level. They need more guidance. They need more guidance. So normally, there will be more contact to them, contact hours for growth. All right. The problem is sometimes not the principles, the concepts. It is the way we explain and whether we have the bukti, the evidence to prove that 24 jam or 24 hours that we have used was enough to achieve that goal. Okay. Understand, guys? Okay. Now, so then you come credit hours. So after you already calculate, maybe. Remember, we are talking about the bachelor in fabrication. So we follow the program standards, everything we need to abide. So there are certain things which we cannot run away, certain things that we can add in, and so on. Then finally, when the credit hours comes out, that is the value of credit of the particular course. So notional hours, 41 credit. If after you calculate, is 132 jam, 132 hours. It is always calculated down. So 132 divided by 40, it is going to be 3.3. So it is 3 credit. Faham? It doesn't jump to the not 3.5 or 4. So if you are doing a course that is 159 hours, 159 dibagikan 40 is 3.96, 3.9. Right, not? Near 4, right? But it's only 3 credit. It's only 3 credit. Always goes down. There's no such thing as up. Understand? That is why please don't kill your students for their SLT 150 bagi dia 3 credit. Student mengamuk. Okay? Because a lot of work, Student learning time is the work required to achieve that goal. Okay? So, then implementation. Once you come up with your program, your course, you implement. Implement is what you guys are doing lah. We are teaching, we are facilitating. So what do? We have a lot of evidence. We do test blueprint, lesson plan, marking, rubric. Rubric important, guys. Rubric. You know what rubric is, Please, rubric must be done properly. Rubric is like your measuring tape, If your measuring tape, not accurate, you measure baju, everything rosak one. Okay, that is why we have this thing called ruler. Ruler, 1 feet is 1 feet standard. Rubric must also be done properly. If you use a wrong rubric, every time you mark, rosak. Okay, so student portfolio, everything, assessments and whatnot. Okay, so this is called implementing. Implementing is your everyday job. You go and teach, you go and do this and that and so on. Okay, after you do already, you do assessments, you do exam and whatnot, mana ni? Then you evaluate. End of the semester, when you do exam already, you have this thing called assessment board. It's called the school assessment board, or what you call department assessment board, kan? So you will present your grades. Okay, I'm teaching mathematics. So let's say I'm an engineering staff over here. Then I will explain. Then Dr. Yap will ask me question. Gabe, how come your course pass rate only 72? Why is this? Why is that? What kind of strategies are you using? Is it effective or is it not effective? How can we further improve this and so on? Or he may ask this question: how come your mathematics traditionally the graph has been on an 82% pass rate, but you have 100%? What are you doing? Are you really that good? Or is the exam paper macam tak ada betul? Both ways. He has the right to ask it because statistics don't lie, right or not? It can be you are a brilliant teacher. Then after evaluating, oh, well done. Remember? Positive enforcement, well done. OBE, even cikgu, so kita OBE mah. Our boss pat us on our back, well done. Then we happy, we do better, you know. So that is it. It's called evaluate, analyze. Then we close the loop. We close the loop. Apa yang baik, kita maintain. Apa yang tak baik, kita tukar. That is important. That is why if you know your end of the semester report, you have this part that you write kan. Why was it good? Then why was it no good? They also ask you why was it good? So you write lah. Why? The good thing, your friend can learn. If you do something very good in class, your other colleague can learn from you also. Okay? Then that is the end. Then it goes back again. That is always a cycle. This is called the OBE process, outcomes-based education, a very physical process that impacts all of us because we are facilitators and teachers. Understand this, guys? So it's a process. Okay? It's a process. So the next part here is this, the MQF. So we understand OBE already. All right. So now we are looking at this. There's this document, of course, as I always explain, it is called the MQF. How do we interpret the highly polarized result? Many high achievers and equally many failures. Oh, it does happen, Dr. Loh. It does happen. Sometime in your class, we have different dynamics. All right. Different dynamics of classes. So the high achievers are those that really put effort. Not, I won't say put effort because they are driven in many different aspects. They are there. Maybe they are intellectually more competent. Those at the back there is where we need to evaluate why are they dwindling at the back. Could it be the approach? Your approach may be effective for the high achievers. So OBE stresses that we need to understand why the second level there is not achieving. It could be as simple as linguistic challenges, maybe language itself. They are a little bit challenged based on your approach because you go in, you're using these words and so on, and they may not understand, and at the end of the day, they lose interest. Okay, not because they are bad students. So this is where it becomes important for us to do the investigation. What is the reason? As we said, the outcome is the same. All students must pass. So those that are good, fine. Those that are not that good, we need to identify why. What is the reason for them not doing? Okay. So I think this is a good point for me to take a pause and explain to you one part before I go into the MQF. I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to explain to you my practice. When I was teaching in, I barely teach now, but previously when I was teaching, I am a strong proponent of this thing called formative assessment. Formative assessment is any assessment that you do that doesn't impact the final grade of the student. Okay, doesn't impact. So, final exam, written report, test, these are called summative. Summative. Okay, kat mana ni? Summative. Formative is like this. If all of you switch on your video, I can get body language from you all. I can see whether you understand. Naim have just nod his head. This is formative feedback that I'm getting from my audience. Jailani is showing me like this. Apa lah dia cakap ni? Tak faham ah. So, this is formative feedback that lingers in my mind to say that he may not understand, I may want to repeat. When I teach a big class, what I do, that one garu kepala tu lain lah, itu memang tak faham. Now, when I teach a big class, I used to use technology. I used to use Kahoot. You all know Kahoot, right? When it was free, now you have to pay. This company strangle us. So what I used to do was this. Every lesson, when I teach, Beginning of the class, I will tell my students, this is what I'm going to teach you. Then I will teach. At the end, the last 15, 20 minutes, last 15 minutes, I will stop. I will do a Kahoot test. Okay, students, Kahoot questions. And I only ask the must know. Bam. All the must know. The must know is the requirement as per the CLO. So I ask question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, question 1. I ask the must know. Student, which of the following is not part of the marketing mix? I used to teach marketing, okay, for example. So student answer. I look at the grade. Anything below 85, depending lah, 85 to 90%, trigger in my mind, something is wrong. Student tak faham. Immediately, I repeat to the student. Student, I see that the question 1 pass rate only 70%. Don't worry. I don't pinpoint who, I just see the pass rate, 75%. Now, student, let me explain to you. The marketing mix comprises of the 4 Ps: product, price, place, promotion. I repeat. You faham tak? I repeat back the theory again. Anything above 90%, normally I won't touch. Yes, that means 1 or 2. So they will come and see me. 100 over students sometimes. So I close the loop. So what I'm doing there is this. Every end of the class, when it's still fresh in the mind of the students, I make sure I do corrective action. All the must know only, And if you take you consider this, ladies and gentlemen, every lesson that you do, actually the must know is tak banyak. We teach, we educate, we put in things, right, to explain. We give example. I give you a lot of example in the past 1.5 hours, but the must know is actually very, very little only. You understand? So we just question students on the must know. At the end of the day, once you do this, the chances of the student not doing well will be low, because at every class point, you already do this. Closing the loop. You close the loop. You do evaluation, you close the loop. You do evaluation, you close the loop. And you take the last 15 minutes of class. Very easy. Just you look at your course today, you must know maybe there are 4 key theories. So under your Kahoot, you have that 4 lah. You check. If all of them above 90, you feel good also. You pat yourself on the back. You did a good job. If no, less, then you correct it immediately. Then you open yourself to the students. Those who still don't understand, come and see me. That's how it is. Okay? That's how to narrow the gap. Narrow the gap between those who don't understand and those who are excellent students. Okay? So, I'll continue. Guys? Understand? So now, guys, other than Kahoot, when now they charge, do you use any other softwares? Any free ones? I'm a cheapskate, maybe. Those of you who got, you can share. Maybe your colleagues want to know also. Okay. Now, what about MQF? Now, in Malaysia, we have this thing called the Malaysia's Qualifications Framework. Now, the MQF is a very important document that impacts all educators, as I explained to you. Now, the newest one is second edition 2024. The second edition actually came out in 2017, if I'm not wrong. But 2024, there is a revision. They tambah a little bit there. And I want to stress on that. Okay. Now, the key features of the MQF second edition is this. They emphasize on value-based education. All right. They say an education approach emphasizes the development of moral, ethical, and social values alongside academic and technical skill. Our Malaysian education standard already have on the technical side. Engineer, doctor, semua ada, baik. But now they want to emphasize on this moral, ethical, and social values, because they find that is a problem. A lot of highly educated individuals are doing white-collar crime. So they want to emphasize on that. 2, flexible learning pathway, simple. The MQF states a lot of APEL. For those of you who APEL, Accreditation of Prior Experiential Learning, MQF emphasizes that they want to open more working people or those without formal education to get their formal education through the APEL process. This is called flexible learning pathways. I'm doing a briefing on APEL, I believe, in 2 weeks' time, or whether next week. For those of you interested, please join. I want to stress on number 3. Global Sustainable Agenda, Strategic Development Goals, SDG. If I'm not wrong, inside here, sorry, sudah lari sikit. Okay, so this is SDG. Now for many of you, especially the engineering school, you will know what SDGs are. All right, UN SDGs. There are these 17 SDG goals. Are a global initiative adopted by UN to address challenges such as poverty, inequality, climate change, and so on. So the MQF in 2024's revision stressed that they want us as institution, when we develop our program, we look into SDG. It means if you are developing a program or your current program, let's say your current program, Bachelor in Business, you need to slowly integrate SDG elements. Not all 17. There are 17, kan? You need to educate the student, but you may want to emphasize on 6 or 7 key ones. It's not having a new course. No, not having a new subject or course. It is integrating it into your course. Let's say you're teaching human resources. So one of it is equality. So you need to emphasize, okay, human resources, this and that. One key aspect we need to do is on matters of equality, is this and that, and so on. Then you also try, this is actually one key aspect of the 17 SDGs that are there. Okay, so you integrate in. Engineering school, no problem. Why? You have been doing it for years already. Betul kan? Engineering, you're already dulu already. So they actually learn, I believe, and then slowly they apply. For those who are developing new program, if you are developing new program, dari sekarang, you better put in all of this in your maklum, in your description about the program. You know, there's this introduction, this why do we have this program and why and that. Put in a part on SDG. Our program is developed in a way to address these components as per the SDG and so on and so on. By doing so, we are developing holistic students or whatever lah, those kind of words that you need to put it in. Why? It is required. It is required. And the thing about MQF is this. The circular sudah keluar. It needs to be applied. It needs to start already. Okay? I actually did a workshop on this last year in the final quarter. Some of you all joined. Good. For those who didn't join, the next time when I do, you all please join. So I actually brief a little bit on what this is all about. For those of you who are developing new programs, a word of warning, please put in this already. Value-based and SDG. 1 and number 3. Why? 2 and 4, not much in your control lah. Not much in your control. But 1 and 3 is in your control. So you better put that in. Because I can assure you, when the officer come, or when officer check, they will look at that. Because it's already in the MQF revision 2024. Understand, guys? Any of your school developing new program? Ada? Tak ada? Belum lagi? Okay. If you are, please remind your head of schools also. Anyway, today I'm having a meeting with all the head of schools. I will also remind them about that. Okay, we will remind them about this. Because no point, develop programs, send, after that they come back, you never touch on this. Then maklum balas, this and that. Messy lah. Okay? Faham, guys? Now, my advice to you all is this. Please download this document and read. Very nice. It's a nice document. Especially malam-malam tak boleh, you cannot sleep, you know, insomnia. You read this one, sure sleep one. Okay? So, all right. Now, so when you talk about the MQF in Malaysia, this is called tahap lah. When I always use the word level, this is it lah. Level 1 to level 8. 1, 2, 3 certificate, 4 diploma, 5 higher diploma, 6 degree, 7 masters, and 8 PhD. So when I was telling you about tahap 7 means it's master. Okay. Now, why is this important in OBE? Because in outcomes-based education, a student in level 7, for those of you who teach master student, their outcomes are different from a student that you teach in level 4. Okay. Now, what are the difference? It is in the MQF document, very clearly stated what are the differences inside there. That is why I want to stress again, this is a good document. Okay. Now, one key aspect that when we look at it in development, now we already understand tahap and so on, is this thing called the PEOs lah. So I need to stress a little bit on the PEOs. What are program educational objective? Why do I need to stress? Because it is the starting block. You get good PEO, you set your PEO properly, your program will be developed properly. You mess up your PEO, your program is all messed up. Because the PEO is the guiding force. PEO or program education objectives are specific goals consistent with the mission and vision of the Institute of Higher Learning, IHL, containing the 9 MOHE attributes or the 5 clusters. There are these 5 clusters or the 11 subclusters, responsible to the express interests of program stakeholders and describing the expected achievement or career milestone of graduates in their career and professional life few years after graduation. So PEO basically says that what can the person achieve or what is required by the person of the student when they graduate until 5 to 10 years after that. Okay, so when you set PEO, you need to be sure that you know what is still required in the industry. PEOs are employability attributes and selling points of your program. This is your program. Our program is so good because we ready the student for the next 20 years, for the next 15 years, for the next 10 years. That is the PEO. Okay? Program Education Objective. What is the objective of this program? Kenapa kita ada program ini? Why we have this program? To make money. No. Yes, make money is betul lah. Kita private institution kan. But why do we have this program? So that students who take this program at the end of the day will be competitive, why, and so on. That is the PEO. Okay, so why do we need to establish the PEOs and PLOs? This is taken from ministry. Program education objective, PEOs and PLOs reflect what it intends the learner to achieve. This is what the learner need to achieve. It is crucial for PEOs and PLOs to be expressed explicitly and made known to learners and other stakeholders. Okay, so when we set PEOs, there is badan professional. You see my cursor here, we got MBOT, you all know kan MBOT, all of this badan, MIA, medical and so on. So they will determine, they will also tell us apa yang diperlukan for people in their career. Now there are 22 badan professional, so many, nearly covering everything. But always linger in my mind is engineering board. Why? That is the most garu kepala one, right? And the medical board. Okay, and their meetings are always in my office. So this is the most frequent one that we always meet. Okay, but the badan professional is these bodies tell us what is required for an engineer today. Then they also tell us what is required in an engineer 5 years, 10 years down the road. Okay, that is why PEO, PLO critical. Now, this one is important. Where do this PEO and PLO stand in the hierarchy? Look at the hierarchy, my friends. Yang atas sini, the highest is National Education Philosophy. National Education Philosophy is the philosophy of education in our country. Our country's education philosophy. Then we got MQF, Malaysian Qualification Framework. There's now that document, MQF. Then we got Qualification Program Standards. Higher than, we got after the program standards, we have our vision and mission. UOW's vision and mission play a big role. Then we got our higher educational providers' education goals. What are our goals? So if you read our vision and mission, for those of you who joined my session last week, we talked about vision kan, to be top in the region, institution, and so on. Then it drives our program educational objective. Program education objective is the highest level that is directly related to the physical development of the program. That is the PEO. And when the PEO is done properly, it will drive the PLO, the curriculum, and so on. Everything falls if the PEO is done properly. Okay? So you may ask, in that case, we need to be what you call fortune tellers lah. Fortune tellers. What is going to happen in the world, right? 10 years, 15 years down the road, what programs do we do? Yes, we are fortune tellers. We are fortune tellers. But what kind of fortune tellers are we? We are fortune tellers where we have the industry people with us who give us hints of what is actually happening. Okay, so I'm going to our next. So I will touch on PEO a little bit more later. Okay, I just want to show you in the hierarchy how important the PEO is. It is the highest level directly related to the development of the program. So when you relate MQF learning outcomes to national educational policies, see, national education philosophy, NEP is the highest level. NEP, National Education Philosophy, ada 3 key structure. Okay, 3. Number 1, they want to develop industry talent with knowledge and skill of the discipline. Memang okay. Number 2, they want to mold citizens with shared values norm working together, capitalizing on unity in diversity, the sejahtera community. All right, a community that is sejahtera lah. Okay. And number 3, develop personality and character. All right. Now, if you look at these 3 over here, the top one is the technical skill lah, knowledge lah, cognitive. The other 2 over there is more soft skills, affective. Then you look at the MQF 2017, the 11 subcluster on the left here. Now, do you know where this comes from? This comes from the 5 clusters you break down, right? 11. Betul kan? 11. You see, develop industry talent with knowledge and skill of the discipline. The one in blue, knowledge, cognitive, practical, and numeracy. Okay? Thinking lah. Molding citizens, shared value, the sejahtera community, green, interpersonal communication, digital, leadership autonomy and responsibility. And finally, developing personality and character, apa tu? Personal skills, ethics and professionalism. So what I'm trying to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Our 5 clusters here directly relates to the National Education Policy competencies. The NEP requires every student to achieve these 3, and it is achieved through the 11. Because why? Sometimes when I discuss with the heads, we discuss with schools, they say, yeah, ethics very difficult to do lah, need to do, not all this thing. Why must do? In my program, how ethics not important lah? It is not important. It is important. It is part of the National Education Policy competency that is being dictated by the ministry under developing personality and character. And that is where ethics comes in. Understand guys? So do you see the relation, right? Now you see why the 11 subclusters are 11 in such a way, because it also relates to the competencies required by the National Education Policy. And the National Education Policy is the guiding force. Number 1, paling tinggi, our policy. Okay, and it drives down. Okay, policy driven. Okay, so the 5 clusters, as you all would know, these are the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So why do we always say 11? The 11 is because this is broken down. All right, in the middle over there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, that's why there's 11 subclusters. So when you look into it, these are the 5 clusters of learning. Previously, it was called the MQF domains, the 8 MQF domain. Yes, Dr. Loh, exactly. Difficult to observe and measure ethics in behavior and state of mind. Very difficult. Recently, I was with a school. We were sitting down and evaluating on their rubrics and their assessment. So this was actually very widely discussed. How is it done? I will not touch on it. My colleague will actually go in 2 weeks' time and to touch on some matters of this. Okay. So these are the 5 clusters of learning, guys. So we see the 5 clusters. These 5 clusters was evolved from the MQF domains. All right. However, it still meets the basic aspect, but they emphasize, they did tweak a few things like interpersonal and communication skills and personal skills. Personal, interpersonal is between 2 individuals. Okay. So once we understand that, I'm going to touch back a little bit on the PEO again because it is the guiding force. Then PEOs are 4 to 5 statements on what the graduates are in 4 to 5 years' time. They must include all the 5 clusters. So the PEO must be written, the 4 to 5 statements should cover all of these elements inside here. Okay, these objectives are not directly measurable, but serves as an aim of what graduates will be many years after graduation. After they graduate, they should be able to have the technical skill, they should be able to have the practical skill, the communication skill, and so on. So these 4 to 5 statements are encompassing statement. One sentence doesn't mean one cluster. It can cover a few things. All right, but that is the PEO. Okay, so PEO drives everything. So when you're talking about the learning outcomes, PEO is the driving force. So what is PEO? Few years after graduation, roughly 4 to 5 years. Okay, then after that, with strong PEOs, you come up with your program learning outcomes. Then your program learning outcomes will come with your course learning outcomes. Then only it will come up with your weekly topic outcomes. So it is driven by this. I cannot emphasize enough. You make mistake here, everything gone. So this one, make sure there is no mistake. Okay. But I can safely tell you, it is never 100% accurate because you're forecasting. You are forecasting what is going to happen down the road. Okay. So it is like this. This is taken from a ministry document. So PEOs, feedback dari mana? Alumni, misi, VC, stakeholders, penasihat industry advisors. These people will tell us what we want to do, what we should do. Okay, what we should do. That is why when you have your industry advisory meeting, sometime during the meeting, your advisor will tell you, hey, we need graduates in the next 5 to 10 years, we need graduates that are competent in blah, blah, blah. So that is where it comes in. Okay, so after that, you evaluate, analysis, CQI. Then this one will drive your PLO and it will drive your CLO. Okay, so this is the circle lah. Now, as time goes, you will need to change your PEO because your Bachelor of Business that was developed in 2015 may not be relevant for students who take it in 2025. Because for a person who took in 2015, it was developed so that the student will be competent 3 years degree in 2019. But if a student joined in 2025, the student will graduate in 2029. During that time, I can assure you, the world has changed so much. 10 years is a very long time. All right. So you may need to change your PEOs. You don't change, I mean, the 11 subclusters will still maintain, but the wording and the emphasis will change. Mana more penting and so on. Okay. Understand this, guys? Okay, so how often can we change? It's like this. You change based on industrial needs. Okay, that is why every year you do program or curriculum review. And normal requirement is after one cycle, there should be big changes. There should be more changes. Every year you may just do minute changes to your CLO, to your what do you call it, to your lesson plan and so on. But one cycle is degree. One cycle is 3 years for those with 3 years degree. For 4 years degree, one cycle is 4 years. So for engineering degree, 4 years, every 4 years, they expect some drastic changes because people will tell you, I can guarantee you 4 years ago, the world was different from it today. So the graduates are also different. So they expect change. If you don't change, and MQA come and check, and then they check your log, your log. Hey, tak ada tukar kah? Nothing ah? Even the bits, so nothing changed. Nothing. Then they say, but technology has changed. AI is here. Why you never change? Then your program will be less relevant. Anything more than 30% need to have resubmission. Anything less than 30%, no need resubmission. Okay? So, if you think, in just offhand, develop the PEOs for an undergraduate program of your discipline. Plan launch date is 2026. All right. So now, after understanding this, if you're going to run a program in 2026, next year, all right, you need to forecast what the students will need in 2030. 2030, because you're actually preparing students for a job market in 2030, So if I ask you guys now, what will happen in 2030? Many of you even myself, will not be able to tell. Many of us will not be able to even determine what will happen next year. What more even next week? Getting old, definitely. Jisun, definitely all of us are getting old. We can't that. And the world, the environment is getting more volatile. Political changes, all right? Environmental changes, and so on. So it becomes very difficult. But this needs to be done because we are now ensuring that the program we develop will be relevant for our students. You see this? So this is where when you all do program evaluation, you sit down with your school, you sit down with your faculty, you all need to think, hey guys, this Bachelor of Business, we've been running for 10 years already. What are the review? Let's look at the log. What have we changed? Then you go back to your PEOs. Is this still relevant or not? Is this still relevant? Then you read your PEOs. It may not be. It may not be, guys. Okay? So you must be brave to change. Okay? Why brave? It takes effort. Okay? It takes quite a lot of effort. So that is basically on the context of when you talk about outcomes-based education, we are looking at that. We are looking at what is it? We are looking at the understanding on the MQF in Malaysia. We are looking at the 5 clusters. We are looking at the importance of the PEO as the driving force for the whole structure of the development of the program. Why? Because outcomes-based. What is the outcome? Students relevant can find job. That is the outcome. The outcome is not that paper. That paper is just a paper. It's called the parchment. The outcome is student go out relevant can find job. Okay, so we outcomes based. Once we understand that, what do we need to do to ensure that they achieve that? Okay, so in a more micro sense, we have this thing called learning domains. All right, learning domains. Okay, so here, the learning domains, I'll just touch through a little bit. Why? Because I believe many of you may have already known this, but this is a bit of a refresher. So we have the 3. We have the affective. A, affective, I touch my heart. Affective means heart, the way we feel. Cognitive, the way we think. And psychomotor, it is the physical aspect. So here, basically what we do is we normally follow in the cognitive element, Bloom's taxonomy of learning domains, Benjamin Bloom. Okay, the Bloom's taxonomy refers to classification of the different objectives the educators set for students, learning objectives and outcome. Please take note, there are many taxonomies. All right. We are just using one as the basis. Is it the best? It may not be, depending on situation. If you come from different institution, you read different literature, then you may have different taxonomies. However, all the taxonomies are quite similar in its nature of gradual progression. Gradual progression means you start from the bottom, slowly you go up. Normally, you won't just jump immediately on top unless you are special. Okay, so that is it. I won't cover all the other top taxonomies, but here basically just a snapshot on how these learning taxonomies are being used. Bloom's taxonomy divides education objectives into 3 main domains: affective, psychomotor, and cognitive. Okay. Within the taxonomy, learners at a higher level is dependent on having attained prerequisites, knowledge, and skill at lower level. So it's like this. You need to be from the bottom knowledge to apply to synthesize. All right. You need to have knowledge before you can apply. And after you apply, you can create, synthesize, higher level. It's difficult to create if you don't have the basic knowledge. Okay. So you need to have the basic knowledge first. A goal of Bloom's taxonomy. So if you want the student to attain C3 first, the student need to attain C1, then C2. Okay, basic general theory lah. A goal of Bloom's taxonomy is to motivate educators to focus on all 3 domains, creating a more holistic form of education. Okay, so as you can see, head, hand, and heart. Okay, okay. Now, most of our assessment are very cognitive. We are very cognitive driven. All right, which is not wrong. We are very cognitive driven. Students need to achieve all cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. all of this. But we emphasize more, we do a lot on the cognitive side. Why? Because general discipline is on their knowledge, all right? Their knowledge. Students' ability to know the subject itself. Students know mathematics lah. Okay, leadership skill is effective, but that's leadership, but we do that. Also, some literature has determined that why are we concentrating a lot on the cognitive side is because it's easier to assess. It's easier to assess cognitive than affective. No? You want to assess knowledge of a person is easier than to assess leadership skill or ethics. Correct, right? So, do cognitive lah. But I want to have a big but. No, I'm not saying I have a big but this is a big but. I want to go back just a little bit here. Do you remember this? I want to show you this. Ini. The government's national education philosophy, cognitive is only one part. These two plays a very big role. And these two are effective. Very effective. You see that? Huh? Okay. So if you look at the national education philosophy, they strive on not only building intelligent, good people, intelligent students, but to have good citizens. Where do we stand when we develop our assessment? That is my question. I am not judging, nor am I saying that you are doing the right or wrong thing. I just want you to go back. The national education philosophy states very clearly, knowledge is one thing, having good citizenship is something else. But in our degrees, a lot of our degrees, I see this because I overlook all programs I see. The emphasis is on the cognitive, which is not wrong. But sometimes we tend to look at the effective side on the sejahtera development courses as sub-courses or byproducts. If they learn leadership skill, it's a bonus. But they are good in mathematics. I teach them mathematics. They are very good in maths. If they learn ethics, by all means. But that is not the goal of our higher education philosophy. You understand? Okay? I'm not saying we are doing the right thing or wrong thing. But that is not the goal. So if you follow the goal itself, we should put effort in also developing the soft skills and the leadership skills and all these skills of the student. Okay? Difficult lah. It's not easy. But the literature has always been there. It has always been stressed. And that's why I always say our national education philosophy and our Malaysian qualification framework, the document is memang baik, very good. It is written so balanced, it tells you we need to develop educated people, then they emphasize so much on the soft skills, good people, ethical people, and this and that and so on. Okay? In the traditional sense, being a college previously, we teach, okay, knowledge. But now, when we take the leap to being a university or the university college, all right, then the emphasis will now, not saying that previously we don't, but we need to look at the development of the student itself. And the holistic development of the student is not only of that person's knowledge, but that person's character. Don't they develop this one? Yes, they do. They do develop this thing in primary and secondary. We must follow through. We must follow through. This kind of development of these skills is not a one-off. We must follow through. Okay. So that is what it is. So higher order, as you can see, evaluate synthesis, and so on. Now, you will find that this is Bloom's 1956. 1956, they put synthesizing below evaluation. In the past 20 years, 24 years, new literature has changed this. They move synthesize up and evaluation down. So, guys, what I'm trying to say is this. Benjamin Bloom in 1956 came up with his theory and concept. But outcomes based, the demand of the people change. Even his theory also changed. His theory changed, tweak, synthesis up, evaluation down. Why? Because now in the Northeast 2000 plus 2000 year 2000 and above, evaluation is something that you should do before you can create. You see, people change, citizens change, communities change, and that is what it changes. Okay? You will find even there is a lot of argument on Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs also. All right, if you read Maslow's hierarchy of needs, from the physiological needs over to self-esteem, some people argue this and that and so on. Why? Society has changed. Okay, and because of that, sometimes you can even jump levels, or sometimes you can jump and you can have a reverse. See, that is how it is. Very interesting. Education theory has evolved and it's very interesting. Okay, so cognitive domain, these are how it is. Psychomotor domain and affective domain, from below all the way up, and this is what our students are supposed to achieve. Now, are our students supposed to achieve everything at the highest level? No, not yet. Best practice is like this. For diploma, Bloom's taxonomy of learning, cognitive approach, diploma, the median average will be C3, B4, and A3. So diploma students, average of their, you should assess them on C3. Apa itu C3? Application lah, application. Does that mean you don't evaluate them on synthesis? No, you do, but less. The peak is on C3. Okay, you understand? Huh? Now, for PhD, full lah. Full. They expect everything. Okay? Now, a PhD student sending in a thesis, if it is on marketing or if it's on business, and he puts in the theory and concepts of, let's say, marketing theories, Kotler's marketing theories, and so on, he should get no marks because that is knowledge. That is supposed to be expected of. All right? His expectation is on synthesis, C6. That is what is required. So this is a scale. That is why when you talk about outcomes-based, diploma student, this is their what they need to know. Undergraduate, master's, and PhD. A diploma student that demonstrates higher than this is a very good student. Pat them on the back. Itu dia. That is the super A student lah. That is the super A student lah. Not only can they demonstrate C3, but they can demonstrate C4 or C5. That is why in your exam paper, when you set, sometimes you have certain marks, maybe 2 ke 3 markah, that will give the diploma student if they can use the theory and create something new. You know, challenge them. That is the one that will differentiate a good student with an excellent student. That 3 extra marks. That is why they are the A student, A ke A plus student. Understand this, guys? Okay, so this is the learning aspect. Okay, so does not refer to the maximum, neither the minimum. Ini bukan maximum ke minimum tau, bukan lah. This is the average, average. Okay, so with this, with the clusters, there is always the strategy and the assessment strategy. So you always ask, yeah, for knowledge and understanding, how should I normally do? So this is not set in stone. This is not set in stone. This is just a rough guide. Lecture, knowledge and understanding, because you want to give knowledge, lecture tutorial lah. Lecture tutorial, assessment, written test, quiz, or so on. Let's say we are looking at interpersonal skill. Interpersonal skill, quite difficult to do tests. So we do presentation or we do group work, for example. So what I'm trying to say here is this. Your learning outcome will determine your teaching and learning strategies and assessment strategies. Okay? Not all learning outcome can be assessed by written. Cannot. Cannot. Definitely cannot. Okay? You cannot assess ethics by a written test, for example. There must be observation, a reflection, and so on. Okay, so this is where it becomes important for us. When you determine, you know this is your learning outcome, then you will see what is the best strategy and assessment. And it goes back. If your head of school or your ADH or your program leader asks you, hey, why are you using a presentation for this learning outcome? Then you turn around and say, The reason is because I find this the best way for me to assess communication skill. For communication skill, that is my learning outcome CLO, it needs to be presentation because it cannot be an exam. This is oral communication. Oral communication, I'm saying. Okay. If it is written communication, communication can be written, right? Not then it can be. All right. Are there any rubrics for assessing ethics to be shared? I was actually working on that with business school. So once it is done, maybe I'll be able to share it with you all. Let me speak to business school on that. Okay. Interesting. Good. Yeah. So you understand this, huh? So always remember, it is driven by the learning outcome. One of these classes, what you want to assess. If it's numeracy leadership, then it will impact your learning strategies and your assessment. So always don't, if you find your syllabus shows oral communication skill and the assessment is written that, oh my God, exam, you know it's wrong. Speak to your program leader, speak to your head. Tell them, boss, ini sudah salah lah. Cannot lah. No way I can do that. Then say, oh, it could have been a mistake. Okay, then you change accordingly. All right, so this is how it is. Also, this is a living. Boss won't score one lah. Boss won't score one lah. Don't worry. You talk to boss. Okay. Now, this is a living document. It means it evolves with new technology. A lot of new technology coming in will have an impact on the way you do teaching and learning strategies, on the way you do assessment. Okay, paham? Understand, guys? Okay, this formative feedback. I'm doing formative assessment. I won't do a Kahoot with you all. I'm looking at body language. That is why I normally say switch on your camera. I'm still not that strict lah. Yeah? So one of the final part that I would like to stress before we end our today's session is this thing called curriculum review. So how do you do curriculum review? Because we are talking about OBE, outcomes based. So as you hear me say so many times, every year we must do, and every cycle we must do a major curriculum review. So what is the process? The process very straightforward, actually. Yeah, this is in graphical. Later I got in writing. Curriculum review is to review the curriculum. So what you can do, you can change the name, you can duration, review PEOs, PLOs, add drop courses, review CLOs, review course content, review teaching method. So many things you can do, You can even change name. Some of you have your school have gone through name changing. That means program changing. Name, got right? Sometimes it's because program standards require to change. Sometimes it's because industry require to change. Sometimes MQA asks you to change. Duration also got. I know certain diplomas in Penang used to be 2 years, 4 months. You have reduced it down to 2 years. And then certain programs not only reduce, extend. Engineering program in Penang, tak silap saya 3 years to 4 years, right? To meet engineering board's standard. If I'm not wrong, right? Something like that lah. So this is called review. All right. Review PLOs, and so on. Okay. And you can add or drop courses. This one I want to stress, be daring. Be daring to add or drop courses. If you find this one not relevant, and it is not in the program standard, it's something that you all put in one. Now no more relevant. Buang. Change something that is relevant. Okay? Don't put there because it is easy. Sometimes we all put there because it's easy. Using it for 15 years is easy. Don't. Okay? Then, of course, here come down. Assessment method and also your references. References, as you know, our standard is not more than 3 years. MQA have this 3 or 5 years thing. I can't really remember, sorry. But it's something that you all should follow lah, your reference books. Okay? Make sure that it is up to date. And then after that, it is curriculum after review. So this is the process, very simple. So when you sit down with your head of schools and so on, just run through this lah. But how do you run through? Wait, this one I've gone through. Okay, this one I've already gone through, sorry. So, but how do you run through? What is the process, the flow? This is the flow lah. Right? This is something that I practice when I used to do it. All right. And I also help some of the schools when they do it. First thing you always do when you sit down in your school, when you want to review curriculum, take out your PEO. Okay, program education objective. Then this is critical. You all read it. You must be clear. Feedback from industry advisory board, literature review, future forecasts. You need to look at your advisory board report. You know, you in every year annual advisory board, look at their report. What did they say? Read literature. What is the future forecast? Check MQA website. Got any new program standard or not? A lot of program standard come out, we all don't know because they don't advertise. It is our role to go in and check. So you must check. Okay? First stage. Then you review name of the program. Still relevant or not? Then review duration of program. Duration, PLO, interchange, can be interchanged a little bit. Duration is whether the program 3 years degree still okay or not. Now, 120 credits for a degree and 3 years is the minimum. Minimum. It is not wrong for you to run your Bachelor of Business for 4 years and 140 credits. It is not wrong. But it will not be competitive. We are a private institution. Our target students come in, they want a degree, they want fast, they want cheap. Correct, right? We need to understand. I need to be very realistic. They want fast, they want cheap. Fast, minimum loh. 3 years degree minimum. Cheap, 120 credits. Why? If you do 140 credits, it's going to be more expensive than 120 credits. Correct, right? More you teach, more expensive. So it's that two element. But for some of you who come from government institutions, you will find that my degree was actually 146 credits. Betul? I know some of these institutions. Gabe, my degree, when I did that time, 150 credits. Why? Certain of these public institutions, they are not worried because they are not private. They have that degree, and their degree is 3.5 years, 4 years. It's up to you. You want, you take lah. You don't want, too bad lah. If we do a 4-year degree at 150 or 140 credit, you can say bye-bye to your student. Even though your program is very good. Why? They will go to Taylor's. They will go to Sunway. Betul? So it is that. I'm very honest with you. That is how it works. So we, being private institution, we have left that balance. Okay? We need to have that balance. It's the same question why I got sometimes colleagues ask me, hey, Gabe, why do we not increase our entry requirement? Now, some of our students, headache lah, don't even understand English. Don't understand this, don't understand that. We should increase to 5 credits. We should increase to 5 A's. I say you can. Bukan salah. MQF said minimum. But you put 5 credits, who's going to go to you? They will go to your competitor. So you can have a high standard, but you have 0 student. Now you understand, That is the market that we are in. Okay, the reality. So as I say here, number 2, number 3, review duration. Then you review PL. What I'm stating here is in the perfect world. All right. How you all run in your own school, I leave it to your head to decide. Then you review your PLO, program learning. PLO must be accurate to achieve PEO. Your PLO must be accurate, the word, so that you'll be able to achieve your PEO. Read and understand the most recent program standard and any available circulars by MQA, MOE. A lot of circular, guys. You better read for your discipline. For your discipline, read the one that's impacting you. Then number 5, add, drop, or rename courses. Individual course, add, drop, rename. Courses are not to achieve PLO. Take note of the credits. Read the Surat Kelulusan. Surat Kelulusan is a document that's dictated to you how many credits you must give and so on. All right. If you increase or you reduce, especially if you reduce, you must tell MQA, we are reducing the credit from 132 to 129, even though it is still above 120 of the minimum. But because your Kelulusan say 132, you must do 132. Okay? You want to reduce, you must justify to them. It is not a resubmission. It is just to inform, to justify. If the reduction is too much, MQA may tell you, you need to resubmit. that one is a different story. Okay? If you increase, they don't really care lah. You increase, they don't really care, but can have problem also. Why? There is this website called MQR, Malaysian Qualification Registry, MQR. All of you can go in, you can search your institution's program. It is a registry of all the programs in Malaysia, all the institution, what are the programs that is approved and how many credit. It's an open website. You go inside there, you type UOW Penang, UOW Malaysia or whatever, you can check every program and then you can see. Inside there will tell you the duration and the credit required. So it will tell you. So you better check all of those properly. Okay. So what I'm saying is, if inside there states 130 and you give 145, the student may turn around and say, sir, why you give 145? You only require 130. Then you can say, I want to improve you, make you better. But it is written 130, the minimum requirement. So it is best to maintain. Okay. If you want to change, you can change, but you need to change, you need to make sure the registry reflects accordingly lah. Okay, no issue one, can just write to them and say kita tukar credit, kenapa and so on. Okay, 6, review CLO. All right, so you need to review your CLO, course learning outcomes for your individual course. Do this with the subject cluster experts of the school. I want to advise this. You should always do review courses with the subject cluster. Subject cluster means this. In business school, we have those that are experts in accounting, experts in finance, expert in marketing. Do it in your own cluster. Because people who are not in that cluster, if it's an accounting thing, which is not my strength, and I am part of it, I may not be able to contribute, or I may contribute wrongly. All right. So it is good to do it in the cluster so that people of the same discipline can discuss about the changes. Then review course content, lower level. After your course CLO, okay, then look at the content. The content is the EC. Sometimes you can change the EC to achieve the same goal. All right. Change if needed, be brave. That should be changed every 2 to 3 years. Why do I say be brave? Some of us teachers, we have been teaching that same course for 15 years. The notes is 15 years old. We don't want to change. Why? No need to change. Like it works. But you know lah, 15-year-old notes are already no more relevant. So it is be brave to change. It will require you to put in some effort. Okay. Then review teaching methods, contact hours, notional hours, review assessment methods, and review references. All right, your reference. So basically, you follow this step, you won't go wrong. All right, start from the top. We talk okay. Certain ones like from 3, 4, 5, and 6, you can interchange it a little bit. 4, 5, and 6, PLO you maintain. 5 and 6 especially. 5 and 6 you can move it up and down a little bit. Then you should be fine. You should be fine. Understand this, guys? Can? Okay. Have you all done it last year? Did you all do it? Ada? Ada lah. Tak ada means not so good lah. All right. So finally, yes, we all like the word finally. Okay. In conclusion, finally, what is important for us to understand is generally OBE itself. Thank you, Dr. Loh, for your enthusiasm in that yay. All right. I know it's a Friday. So you guys are hungry already. Okay. So it is important for us to understand the fundamentals of OBE. William Spady, everybody can achieve based on different time. Okay. Success breeds success. And of course, the school, the institution has an important role in the success of the student. These 3 things, just think about it. Okay. And when we talk about OBE, it is not what we want to teach, but what the students must take back, what the students must be able to demonstrate to you. And why is this important? Because the employer requires. The employer. We are not developing students with just a degree. We are developing students who will be able to find a job in 5 years down the road and will be able to be good citizens. So what we do in the next 3 to 4 years will then structure the way the students are going to be when they graduate. That is what OBE is. Why is it important? No choice lah for us. Because if you look into the national education policy in Malaysia, all right, OBE is embedded into every single level. Prior to that, prior to that, nobody thinks about it. But then they found out that we need to be competitive. People come out, need to be able to work, need to be able to adapt, need to be able to find job. And on our takeover here, okay, it is something which every school, this is something that is across the board, institution-wide being practiced, but every school is led by the head of school, who will then dictate how this is being practiced. Okay, our side on the side of teaching and learning, my colleagues and I are always there if you need any help. It sometimes I do sit into schools program review, so as a neutral party, just to hear and then to give feedback, because I may not be subject expert, but it can be if you need, always there. And I have my other colleagues, Dr. Tang, Kaldeb, Dr. Alicia, they are there to also assist on the more practical element, things such as like rubric, things such as like class dynamics, and so on. So they are there to assist you all. Okay. With that, terima kasih. It's 11:31. Chun Chun. See, as I said, I would roughly right 11:30, right? And the pacing is just nice. If you've done it so many years, this is how it is. All right, guys. I first of all, thank you very much for those of you. This is the first time that I'm meeting you all. Welcome. Some of you may be new. In this web page, in this group, if you see the number of people, I have 39 individuals. For those of you in Penang, in the engineering school, most of the Selangor engineering colleagues are in this training here. All right. So you can say hello to them, meet up. They are part of your team already. Okay. So thank you very much. Have a very good day. Happy Valentine's Day also. Yes, thank you. And have a good weekend. Thank you. See you guys. Sayonara.
Okay, thank you, Gaps. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.